Ready to roll?
That's right. It's time for the Dog and Chicken Show. Well, welcome to another live stream of the Dog and Chicken Show. I'm still working out the bugs with the intro. We almost had it last night, jacked it up tonight, but whatever. We'll move on from there. Apologize for any background noise. I've been getting angry with Don Lemon being on the news, so I'll shut that off. Tonight, I guess. Tonight's episode will be continued to be brought to you and ended by some bourbon. I got the rest of my Basil Hayden's. I had no plans on finishing tonight, but after taking a nap and waking up to Donald Trump's address of the nation and all the fun stuff that we'll talk about tonight. Yes, I salute you, Basil Hayden's. And co-host tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, the man who needs no introduction. Go ahead, Phil. And I see you have some stuff for everybody.
I am. Perhaps you could say I'm a bit more concerned about it now than I might have been, let's say, 3-4 hours ago. I don't know if there's any visual cues of that, but yes, the man who needs no introduction, Phil KOE, here to give you the latest updates here on the Dog and Chicken Show. And my God, do we have some ground to cover for you. Yes, I'm joining you as well this evening, Chicken. I wasn't going to drink tonight at all, but I decided, a little bit of hyperbole, but REM, it's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. I thought Tom Hanks coming down with coronavirus was going to be the big story of the day. I really did. And nope.
Well, it just kept coming. The news just kept coming.
Yeah. So we had to get online for this one this evening. So we've got Tom Hanks and his wife tested positive for coronavirus when they were on the set of, I don't know what it's called, some Elvis Presley movie. I don't know what his role was, but long story short, Tom Hanks now has the virus. Donald Trump, the big one, Donald Trump has suspended travel from Europe into the United States for everyone in the European Union except for the United Kingdom, which technically I suppose isn't in the European Union anymore, but that's another show for another day. That is huge. That gave everyone the cover they needed because for me and Tony on the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, our big issue is WrestleMania going to get closed tomorrow? The city council and the mayor of Tampa are going to meet tomorrow to decide if WrestleMania is going to get canceled, and that's going to be happening in the backdrop of President Trump banning travel for like nearly 500 million people into the United States. And the other big one, Chicken, you want to take this last one? You're a bit more of a basketball fan than I, sir.
I'm not a huge basketball fan, but it looks like the NBA is just done, like for now. Until further notice, we're not going to have any NBA games. The original thought was, they're going to play games with anybody in the audience and still televise it. I don't know if anybody would watch that, whatever. But now they're just like, no, we're just not doing this. Events canceled across the country, concerts getting shut down. There's probably more to come, but tonight just like it went from, the volume's been slowly raising, and it started when we did our episode a couple weeks ago. Volume is probably at like 1 or 2 where people are like, might need to worry about this, but probably not. This too shall pass. And then last week it got probably turned up to like 3 on the dial, and then fucking today, like it doubled, it cranked up, like it's volume 6 or 7 right now. Shit's getting real, and people are starting to listen.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm considering it number 11, but
yeah, you jumped the gun.
I'd turn this all the way up to 11. You see, but there's this is going to be an interesting one. The NBA, that was the one that shocked me the most, even more so than the travel ban thing, because governments are going to react in a bit more skittish reaction than, say, a private company, an entertainment venue, needless to say. When NBA decided, now the headline is NBA suspends season. My older brother, he and I, we've been texting back and forth this whole time, and he keeps telling me, Philip, yes, it's not awesome, but there's going to be basketball again before too terribly long. They're going to just wait until this contagion seems to be a bit more contained. It was going to be kind of funny that the NBA was going to follow in the footsteps of the Rockin' Mankind's halftime show and Jerry Lawler versus Terry Funk when they did empty arena matches, which I thought was pretty funny. So the NBA was going to do empty arena games. The other one that just hit literally right before I got on with you, Chicken, is the Chicago Board of Trade, CME Group, is suspending physical meetings for any physical trades anymore until further notice. So even the trading floors are starting to close left and right.
Yeah, I'll be curious. You know, the Trump speech, he was really careful to try to keep optimism with the stock market and everything, but eventually, like, you know, that's going to be a breeding ground for any type of spread. While Phil's got, you know, his piles and piles of toilet paper there.
What I'm doing, Chicken, what I call this is apocalypse balling.
Yeah, apocalypse balling. Now that, you know, all of you assholes went and bought all the toilet paper across the damn country, you know, I do my orders online and shit. Since I'm on the road all the time, my wife gets them, you know, delivered with some of the new services they have out there. Love it, but yeah, they keep canceling all of our toilet paper orders, and like, we're not stocking up. Like, we just need regular toilet paper. So now I'm resulting to stealing toilet paper from my hotel rooms every time I have somewhere to stay. So 2 rolls a night, buddy. This is a good way to go. I guess I'll stock up this way.
Now, here's something that nobody's really taken into consideration. Go to any Walmart, anywhere you want to go, wherever your standard toilet paper provider is. And if they're out, I'll almost bet you dollars to donuts, there's still going to be piles and piles of wet naps and wipes still there ready to go. So, you know, hey, maybe learn the way of some aloe, maybe quit, you know, now granted, I literally just needed some shit tickets. I just ran out yesterday, like, all right, I'll go grab some on the way home from work. And I noticed there's one old timer with his shopping cart filled with toilet paper. So I'm like, oh shit. All right. So luckily for me, I was at least able to get my brand. So I can deal with that. But
at least nobody was fighting over it and calling each other names and punching and shoving. We do have our first question comment on the chat real quick. I'll throw this one at you, Phil. Grow the Farm Up says Chicago Board of Trade is closing the trading floor for commodity trading as of Friday. If this is such an instantaneous emergency, wouldn't they close the trading floor today?
You raise an excellent point there, Grow the Farm Up, and welcome to the show, sir. I will say, yes, you're absolutely right, but the traders, they just got those last few trades they got to get in before it's all over. So I understand what you're saying, but I think it's kind of, you know, the CEO of Bayer was resigned, was removed from his post not too long ago. I think he's like, nope, fuck this, I'm out. Y'all have yourself a good one. Enjoy. Later. I think it might be a little closer to that, but you're absolutely right. This is a little bit of, this is going to be, as I said earlier, this is going to be worse than the folks are saying, the naysayers. It's going to be way worse than the naysayers are saying it's going to be, but it's going to be a lot better than the Chicken Little Skies Falling crowd. Like my brother told me, he said he suspects that the NBA season will probably be back before the end of the year. I think they'll probably be playing basketball again by the summer. But this is something you just have to take this into account. We are at the what I would call the worst spread point of this virus. So if we can kind of tamp that down a little bit, then might save some lives.
Yeah,
But thanks for coming, Grow the Farm Up.
yeah. We got a few more coming in. We'll catch up on those here in just a second. I just the whole thoughts of the trading floors and where all this spreads, but then just the economic, what all is happening right now. You think prescription drugs, especially generic,
Yeah.
most of them coming from China. Obviously, a lot of issues with that coming. Trump did say that stuff coming from Europe as far as supplies are still going to be coming. We're still going to have trade. It's just or international travel and mostly your tourism or business trips need to be canceled, stuff like that. So I do. What do you think the stock market's going to do tomorrow? I guess is where I'm leading with this one, because we're talking the trading floor and wait until Friday. Is it a good day to do this hold off till Friday on any trading floor? After what happened tonight, I'm seeing what CNN's trying to shove down everybody's throat right now. I in Are we trying to pop the bubble before it pops itself in the long term? And we've been talking about future recession. Is this are we seizing the opportunity to pop the bubble a little early and then start building this bad boy back up? This might be not saying coronavirus is a blessing in disguise, but what could happen to the economy? You pop this thing early and let Trump rebuild it as soon as this stuff blows over in 30 to 60 days. Thoughts? Where's your head at with that?
It is fascinating that there wasn't going to be any other natural downward pressure on the market. If you were going to look at the market fundamentals 6 weeks ago, you wouldn't really see any kind of fundamental to push it down. So if you're somebody looking for buying opportunities, this is one. Where's it going to go tomorrow? It's the old joke, how high can a dead cat bounce? Now I'm looking at the chats here myself. The brand of extreme, Charmin, bitches. Not even being paid to say that.
Yeah, it was the only ones left. Everybody bought all the cheap toilet
Comment
paper.
on this. All right. But we know that they will not be able to handle the volume of short contracts are going to be coming at them. That's why they're closing the floor. Oh yeah, they're trying to bottleneck the amount of trades whenever they can. It's just like a bank run. Classic bank run. People are people. We're panicky herd animals. Yes, people are going to be trying to get as many short contracts they possibly can. And let me just take my time here to just get that out and as quick order as I possibly can. Hang on, I got to go use the restroom real quick, and I'll be right back to finish your order here.
Take a roll with you, buddy.
Yep. So yeah, I'm chilling with my apocalypse currency.
Yeah. Careful. Like people does anybody know where you live? That could be a hot commodity pretty soon.
Even people who know me fairly well don't even know where I live. I'm in the middle of a tiny ass little town. So I mean, I literally probably have enough toilet paper for the town. So that's how small we are. So all that being said,
got a question. What am I wiping with in the Dakotas? Well, since I didn't stock up and freak out over the dumbest damn thing you could, like I said earlier, I'm having to resort to hotel toilet paper that I have to fucking steal because I can't buy any real goddamn toilet paper. They are completely out everywhere. This is stupid. This is the stupidest thing. I have to wipe my ass with sandpaper from a hotel now. I literally might just use hotel points, get free hotel rooms just to go steal hotel toilet paper. If it comes down to it, that's what I might have to do. I don't know. Whatever happened to using
towel wipes, dude? You don't need to
those are going next.
Your asshole.
Yeah,
you can treat yourself like a king. It's okay. Don't you love yourself?
I do, but those are going now too. Now that everybody's catching on, and now this is going to just get worse. I just don't know whatever happened, and forgive me if nobody's ever thought of this, but bleach kills pretty much everything. And people used to wipe their ass with cloth and then clean it with bleach. Um, I don't know why everybody thinks toilet paper must be bought off the shelves. Is this an asshole convenience? Or are we that pampered?
Oh boy. Yep. Suddenly we in the first world, the 21st century, are finding out how much our society made having an asshole, what an inconvenience that is. We did all we could to just minimize that little inconvenience that you have an asshole, and now it's all coming crashing down on us all. It's actually pretty funny to watch.
Isn't it funny that some people treat their anus better than they do their neighbors? Like, people, are always shaving, cleaning, bleaching, trying to make their anus look as pretty as can be, but you don't even say hi to your neighbor half the time. What is wrong with us? Maybe that's a question for Tony. He's not here to defend himself.
No,
That's not
Tony's
right.
actually in the comments section now. Tony G here. Phil is on point with the Charmin. Fucking A right. Angel Soft or Charmin in a pinch. And sorry, Tony, I'm still proceeding forward with your championship impeachment inquiry. You're clearly colluding. So, but moving right along. So, my God, we've got the CME group, Chicago Board of Trade. They're closing up, and as Grow the Farm Up astutely pointed out, the reason that they're waiting until Friday is to let all the big time traders get their last shorts in. That's brilliant observation there, sir.
Yeah, but so have you watched any of the news? Like, is immediately, this is what I like to do after I see anything Trump says, I just quickly jump to MSNBC and see how, like, I do a 3-second countdown and the hate begins now. And then I go to CNN, because then usually CNN's 5 seconds after that. And then switch over to Fox News, and they started praising immediately, as it's so predictable. But then I jump onto some of my, I don't know, probably lesser known online news sources that aren't necessarily live, but some chats and blogs on there. And there's a few criticisms, but most of it was like, hey, like Trump said, take it serious. And if Trump says to take something serious, you better fucking take it serious. Cause yeah, it's duly noted. Yeah.
Did you see Trump's speech tonight?
Yeah, I woke up to it. I literally
did you see it from the very beginning?
Yeah, I took a nap. I woke up and they're like, and here's President Trump with a live address. And all of a sudden he's like, ladies and gentlemen. And I was like, holy shit, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, did you catch, like, he kind of stumbled a couple times at the beginning, like it looked like he's almost gonna sneeze or cough, but he realized, like, don't you dare fucking cough in the middle of this address.
Not on a coronavirus address. You don't sneeze or cough in that one.
Yeah, like you can even see, like, his eyes were like, fuck, don't you fucking sneeze right now, you fucker. And so, yeah, he, all credit to Trump. He held it together in that one. And then towards the end, like the middle of the speech and towards the end, his own voice started coming back out again. And these incredible rescue workers and incredible healthcare workers, they're absolutely the best. Like, I always know when his voice is coming into a speech, when he injects, and it's absolutely the best. Absolutely,
yeah, you can tell where he's about to go off prompter. You're like, whoa, what's gonna happen here? So back to some of my criticism of CNN. Brian Stelter, as they're trying to criticize Trump for not being 100% accurate and giving every detail of his travel ban in a small address, which is just ridiculous. They expect that out of him. But Brian Stelter's like, well, let's talk about what parents are really worried about. And should I send my kids to school? Are people going to be able to play basketball? Don Lemon said the only intelligent thing I've ever heard him say. And he kind of looked at Brian Stelter and was like, I really don't think that's what we should be concerned about right now. Minus the kids going to school thing, because a lot of people are confused about this. And in my research today, and I actually spent a lot of time reading up on what's going on in Italy. And it was really concerning, but it makes a lot of sense. So I want to make sure we put this out there for the, millions in attendance and watching around the world. But careful with this freak out of kids going to school. This could cause more problems. And what happened in Italy is they canceled school, so all these kids are staying home. Well, guess who's having to stay home? Mom or dad. Somebody's got to stay home now, right? And so
Perish
with
the thought.
right. Yeah. Oh, crazy. Because like daycare centers are overfilling and don't have enough room for kids. Kids are not showing the symptoms and signs. They may get infected, but they don't show the same symptoms and signs. This seems to attack vulnerable immune systems and elderly more than anybody. So kids seem to be fine and rarely show symptoms and way rare on mortality rates. So we're sending kids home unnecessarily. Sure, they probably are spreading it like crazy at school. I get that, but it's probably going to spread anyway, with or without them. This is airborne like the flu. Nobody's been able to stop the basic flu. I don't know what makes us think sending kids home is going to stop this. But then not only did Italy cancel school and everybody stayed home, now all these nurses and care workers had to stay home, and so nobody was there taking care of people at hospitals. Hospital beds started overflowing, and now they're having to make decisions on people's basic healthcare well-being and saying, "I'm just not going to treat you because I don't have a room for you, two supplies for you, three the staffing to deal with you." And they're having to just kind of pick who gets care and who doesn't. And so that could be, your grandpa comes in 85 years old with a heart condition. Sorry, tough luck, dude. My beds are full and I got people with coronavirus and actual problems and gunshot wounds. Like they have to prioritize who they're going to care for moving
Well,
forward.
yeah,
That's
that's the thing.
scary.
Are those areas going to even have anything that they can call usable healthcare systems? If you dislocate your shoulder, for example, during the height of the coronavirus and you're in a high corona area, the healthcare providers available to you may just say, use your other arm. And until further notice, just use your other arm. Sorry, we don't have the resources for you. So it's going to be a very corona-centric healthcare system for the most affected areas. Now, in terms of schools, schools are basically little disease and bacteria breeding grounds. That's all they are. I wonder if, because people keep saying because of the coronavirus, we're going to have to eventually alter our behavior. I wonder if it's going to alter the way we look at schools, because schooling 100 years ago, hell, 120 years ago, was a teacher standing in front of the room with a large group of students with a chalkboard. Now, 100 years later, in the year 2020, we have a teacher standing in front of a room with a group of students in front of a chalkboard. And in 100 years, our method of teaching has not changed. So I wonder if this new coronavirus, not necessarily this one, but kind of the scare that it's brought about, is at least going to make people reconsider.
Yeah. Well, can we stop calling it coronavirus? It's too many syllables. It's not as catchy. We
Now,
just call
this
it.
is actually kind
Can
of
we call
funny.
it can we call it the beer flu?
Well, there's professional wrestling. The professional wrestling YouTube world, they get demonetized if they use the word coronavirus in their videos. I don't know
Yeah,
why or
anybody
what.
does. Everybody on YouTube's
Yeah,
demonetized
I
as soon as
don't
they
get
say it.
what the point is, but so what they do is classic former ECW champion Steve Corino. They refer to it as the Steve Corino virus, and that's how they get around it and keep monetization. Now, I'll be honest, I think that's a little craven and a little cowardly. We have a virus that's being spread, and you're more worried about a video monetization than getting the word out. So that's just my personal opinion on that.
Yeah, I agree. A few more things popping up here in the chat. Looks like Tony's busy hopping between accounts. We got our our grip account wants to know hand sanitizer supplies looking like at Walmart's across. Good luck. It's kind of, remember when 22 ammo was hard to get. That's your new hand sanitizer right there, buddy. It's
There's a lot of ways to make it homemade, and
that's a lot of work. How dare
Tito
you?
had to
Don't
actually
make
come
people
out and
work.
say, Tito of Tito's Handmade Vodka had to say, no, my vodka is not hand sanitizer. Technically, it needs to be at a higher proof, like an Everclear, to just pour on your hands and count as a hand sanitizer. But You know, if
You
you
just
had
mix
nothing
it
else
with
to
glycerin. That's all they're doing is they mix
if
it with glycerin so it kind of has that gel and then it melts in your hand and good to go, right?
ugh, ugh. But yeah,
Yeah.
vodka would be good for like if you had a surface you needed to rub down, though. That'd be perfectly fine.
You can just rub me
But
down
Grow
with
the Farm
vodka. I'm
Up
down.
has
Not you
another.
though.
And then in 2-3 weeks, when the coronavirus scares over, guess what? All the traders are going to go long and make money on the rally back up. Follow the money, of course. I mean that these fuckers.
You missed one question there, Phil. Tony asked
I'll get
you.
to it. I'll get to it. But it's like
Okay.
the movie Margin Call. These fuckers. Let me tell you something. They will not fucking lose money. They don't give a shit if everybody else has to, but they will not lose money. And so, yeah, I definitely, the minute you hear them going back to the trading floor, that would probably be a good time to buy. Honestly, like that. I'm not giving any trading advice, just kind of intelligence guided by experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Nothing to be said by Phil KOE on the Dog and Chicken shows to be construed as trading advice.
Yes. So what kind of
All
lotion
right, so
is KOE stocking up on during his self quarantine?
what am I stocking up on? Anything corn related, because I'm a corn farmer, damn it. No, that is a good point. I mean, all basic medical supplies, like just whatever. If they might all be everybody's overstocking, so the general supply is warped right now.
Yeah, for sure. We're seeing supply chain breakdowns slowly hitting even some of these smaller areas up north where nobody's really been worried about it. It hasn't been a big deal up here, but you're starting to see it hit even the bigger stores, the bigger chains. So supply chain is seeing some gaps right now, even with in my industry and in my company, we're seeing difficulties with it's one thing getting products sourced in, but even dealing with the logistics right now of fulfilling entire loads, and we may long a load or short a load just to make up some of the difference. So you got people used to having the same freight flow and the same amount of stuff coming in. You might get bombarded with it one day and not get it for 2 days, just to free up some of the other logistic constraints that this is causing, because this everything works back to the root of the trading that's coming in. And if I logistically can't send you, I'm not going to fill you a trailer of 5 cases of something. I'm going to fill the whole damn thing up, and I'm not sending it to you until I can fill the whole damn thing up, is kind of the mindset right now. We're going to save fuel. We're going to save labor, because at any given moment you could lose a huge chunk of your labor force. So there's a lot of thought and consideration going into how logistics is being planned right now. And a lot of it's built around safety and security for not only your bottom dollar, but at the end of the day, it's preparing for nobody to be involved in a labor force. What do you do if whatever business you're in? You could run any type of retail business or anything that has to do with people coming into a facility. You have to be prepared right now for your employees to not be able to show up for 2 weeks. You might have to close your doors for 2 weeks just because you just can't do anything. Um, what I see logistically with some of these bigger companies and some of the logistic planning being put in place, they're preparing for some of that.
Yeah, and I mean, you raise a lot of great points. I mean, you're in the logistics industry, basically. That's your job, long and short, is you are a logistics man. And like I'm a farmer. We don't send third full trucks halfway across the state to send them. No, we make sure that shit is full, because fuel is definitely a cost. Everything's a cost. Your time is a cost. Everything is a cost. And boy, you do raise an excellent point of what happens when the logistics network starts getting hit. Because I mean, you're all over the fucking country, dude. Like I'm shocked you're not coronavirus patient zero Or
Oh,
wait,
fuck, I probably am.
Steve Carino virus.
I'm a carrier. We all better watch out. Good thing we do this teleconference shit, right?
But all right, hang on. We got a couple of things to check in here on. Grow the Farm Up, not only commodities market and CME Group, but also Dow Jones Industrial. Every market that has a tradable security is going to short the market now and make money, and then long the market and make money as the market rebounds on the way back up. Follow the money, which, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Grow the Farm Up. Follow the money, folks. If they're skipping town now might be a good time to go short. Now, good luck getting one, but just say it's kind of like house isn't going to give you a sure bet if they know it's a sure bet on your side. So they're trying to close the ticket windows.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all coming back to just cover your ass, right? That's what everybody's trying to do.
And this rapscallion ne'er-do-well, Tony G, who stole my championship, and I am launching a full championship impeachment inquiry into you, Tony G. He's asking a strange question of, hey, have you guys heard of Anchor? I've heard of an anchor. It's a thing that a ship or boat uses.
So Phil, he's making fun of my ad on the audio version of our podcast, because I run an ad on there and I open it up of, hey guys, you ever heard of Anchor? And he always gives me shit about it. So I gave him the script and told him, you record an ad then. And that little son of a bitch never did. So the other day, for anybody who does listen in, check us out on Spotify, Apple Tune, all that, blah, 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 all those other ones, or you can click the little subscribe thing in the corner over here. I did update the ad, and I got tired of waiting for Tony. We've been doing this for almost a year now, and Tony could not read a script, record it, and send it to me to upload. So disappointed in you, Tony. It's just Phil, I bet if I would have asked you God, I could about imagine the ad you would have given.
I was about to say, I don't even know what Anchor does, and here you go. Anchor, the only place to give you the solutions you need. The solutions that Anchor offers you are the exact solutions that you need to the problem presented, folks. Anchor, the solutions for you. Yeah, come on, that wasn't even hard. I don't even know what the product is. Yeah,
it's a podcast distribution app.
Oh, if you have problems distributing your podcasts, Anchor will distribute them to the ends of the earth for you. I mean, my God, come on, folks. All y'all out there in the corporate world, I mean, every day you're not hiring me as your spokesman. You're basically leaving money on the table. Just saying.
Yeah. Anyway, next topic with this. Jesus, I don't know where this is going.
Well, now that Tony's here, I kind of want to touch on WrestleMania. So Tony, if you're here with us still, we've got a little bit of a WrestleMania problem. It's looking like Trump just banned travel from Europe. The NBA has, for at least the moment, suspended its season. That gives Tampa all the cover they need to say we're canceling WrestleMania. Do you see that actually happening? We addressed this weeks ago. Oh God, yeah. That's right. But I see. Unfortunately, if you made me bet the house, I would bet on WrestleMania not going down the first week of April.
I think we're going to see a lot of sporting events canceled. We got UFC coming to what is it, Lincoln or Omaha pretty soon. I was looking at tickets. I was looking to buy, whether it be concerts, comedians, or sporting events, and I'm not buying any of them right now. Even if I think this is going to blow over, I'm just kind of waiting for him to get canceled. I honestly I think Joe Rogan's coming to Lincoln. That was when I was going to buy tickets for, but I'm like, nope. What's the point? It's probably going to get canceled. There's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of stay out of the public eye, stay out of public events, stay away from everything. I don't know. We might get some more YouTube views in that case. People will be sitting home bored, and yeah, I guess you can only look at you porn for so long before you have to tune into the Dog and Chicken Show and see what we're talking about. So, uh, welcome, folks. Those that just got off of you porn, appreciate you tuning in. Tony, you especially. So, real quick, I know Phil's looking up some news right now. Looks like some things breaking out in the wrestling
Tony,
world.
I do appreciate this breaking news update. You are here on the Dog and Chicken Show, here for this live update. According to PW Insider, Pro Wrestling Insider, this upcoming SmackDown in Detroit, Michigan has been nixed and will now take place at the Performance Center due to the coronavirus epidemic. So, wow. The performance apparatus that is the WWE, they need an audience in order to make what they do work. A lot of people mistakenly think that professional wrestling is the performance of a series of moves. That is not at all what it is. It is the elicitation of an audience reaction. And if you're unable to elicit a reaction because there's no audience, I get they need to keep the television. They have a multi-billion-dollar television deal, but the art that is, the magic that is wrestling relies on an audience to be there. And that's done now. That's fascinating. So yeah, WrestleMania's done. I will bet dollars to donuts that WrestleMania is not happening first week in April, which in its 36-year history, it's had to move venues before. This is the first time that the match that was booked didn't go on Vince McMahon's watch, which is, I'm kind of trying to digest that right now. It's fascinating.
So I'm sticking with the beer flu. So I seen popped up on my TV over here. Harvard is kicking kids out, telling them they're doing all classes online moving forward. And then Grow the Farm Up brought up a couple other things. I thought he had some interesting points here. When the logistics network breaks down, that's when opportunity comes knocking. Absolutely, it does. When the herd's running one direction, turn 180 degrees and go the other direction. Most of the times that's true, unless they're actually running from like Godzilla or something crazy. In that case, I would go 90 degrees and run away from both of them because the herd's crazy and there's a monster coming. But then while everybody is hiding in their houses, this is the probably truest statement. While everybody is hiding in their houses, there will be massive opportunities for not only new companies and people to fill those voids in supply networks. The massive opportunity is legit. There's going to be a huge need for basic, not only, if you want to do it with commodities or services, just basic services will be huge. You think of, as we head into spring, how are people going to get fuel? I know everybody's supposed to be hunkering down, but how are they supposed to get fuel, supplies, basic things for their homes? Phil is coughing his ass off over there. It looks like he choked on some his drink, or maybe it went down the wrong hole. I'm gonna have him muted for a second so we don't hear him coughing. But no, you're right. Grow the Farm Up. There's a massive opportunity for those that aren't sick and willing to take the risk. With risk comes reward, and that's what will entail with some of that. If you're confident in your health and the service you can provide to, whether that be your neighbor's community or local distribution networks, there's a huge opportunity to not only make money but help people at the same time. You could definitely be prepared for a local hero. Be thinking and keep your ears to the ground. What do people need? What are people talking about? If you have an outbreak in a small village or a small town or even a big city, what are people needing that they can't get? And can you make that happen for them? And do you have the connections to make that happen? Everybody's got connections. You just got to use them right. Phil, anything that you would see would be something that like you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, you make an excellent point there. Like, who's going to fill those voids? But there's also something that needs to be considered is when things get back to normal, all those new startups, not everybody's going to survive it. It was like, I'm going to point out, like when everybody was freaking out trying to buy as many AR-15 parts as they possibly could. This happened a couple of years ago. Everyone flipped, and then all these people made all these great AR-15 lowers and brought them all to the market, and it saturated the market to such an extent that there's AR-15 makers going bankrupt. About last year, there was one going bankrupt about every month. Like, just they were dropping like flies for a while. Colt quit making AR-15s. Colt, the iconic maker, didn't survive after the glut got over. And like the toilet paper glut, like whoever decides to not overproduce into this glut is going to be the one that will long-term survive. So you make an excellent point, but I wonder, like Amazon Prime and those types of delivery services where people don't have to make as much contact. I wonder if those, like, if this isn't going to be one of the sad death nails of person-to-person retail purchases.
And that's what they're leaning towards. Amazon's trying to sell their new their cashierless and completely robotic system to other companies now, to where you don't need any human in the building. Like it scans everything for you. You don't even have to stop at a checkout. Like you just grab what you need, and you know, as long as you have your account logged in through Wi-Fi and all your information saved, it just charges you whatever you grabbed on your way out the door. Interesting concept. Not 100% sure how it works. I've known, you know, Walmart, Target, and several others tried similar things to it. But it sounds like Amazon's got it pretty figured out. Now they're trying to sell it to others and make a totally personless shopping experience to where you don't have to have anybody in a store. So I don't know. This could be the start of it.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. Man, I remember when I went to Sears and they were closing down, and I even said right next to the store manager, boy, internet killed the retailer star. And
Sure did.
in this coronavirus era that we're currently in, might be the last blow. Because like you said, like why are people not going to send their kids to school? Like everybody's freaked out about everyone's about to become Howie Mandel. You know Howie Mandel, the guy who's like a
Yeah, he won't shake your hand, nothing. Yeah,
yeah, the total germ. Now this was awesome. My younger brother sent me this earlier today. Howie Mandel came to work today in a full hazmat suit and a gas mask, which I'm wondering how much are they paying this guy? Like, he is a full-on germaphobe. It's clearly messing with his head just a little bit. And he comes to work full hazmat, gas mask, like, okay, all right, I guess, fuck it, mic me up. I still got a mortgage. Let's do this. So I'm wondering, at what point we're all going to become Howie Mandel.
Yeah. Well, you know, it bothered me a little bit. And I got a call from, actually, it was a little video message I got from my 11-year-old. He got out of school today, and I didn't know the schools were taking it this far. And I'm a little concerned about it, but I get it. So I'm trying to digest it a little bit before I overreact and become, asshole dad of the year. But so he sends me his video message. He's like, Dad, I heard coronavirus hit South Dakota. Is this fake news? Should I actually be worried about it? At school, they won't let us drink out of the water fountains, and they make us wash our hands all the time. And he's already a kid who's a little sketchy. He's had some skin problems and some infections in his day. So like he knows what it's like to have a bad infection, and he knows how important hygiene is. So these types of things kind of trigger him a little bit of is this bad? So he correlated all the info the school was telling him of don't drink out of the fountain, wash your hands all the time. And he's starting to think, is there something wrong with the water? Why can't I drink the water at school? And they got him freaked out. They got kids freaking out right now at school. So I'm having to calm this kid down over when I get off work today. So I don't know how I'm going to react to the school on that, because I get why. Phil, you remember elementary school kids coming to the water fountain, they just go and they just like suck
Oh,
on that knob. It was
yeah,
gross.
nasty, nasty.
So I
But
get
a
it.
couple of, but first of all, grow the farm up. You make an excellent point. While everybody's hiding in their houses, this is a good money making opportunity. Just we'll see how that all shakes out and what's going to hit in the aftermath. Brett Delay, Brett Flea Delay, welcome back, Flea. Think we're ever going to forget? Nebraska basketball team is quarantined. The coach decided it was a good idea to coach while sick. My God. One of us will look into making double dog shirt. We always want to. We always want to make sure.
I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, Jamie, can you pull that up, please? But
how the fuck did I turn into Jamie? I'm supposed to be the host, you dick.
Well, you're the one that's in front of a actual computer.
I know how to use
I'm back
one.
here in my stage of awesomeness.
Phil's technology challenged. It would be the nice way of putting it.
That is a remark I might resemble, sir. But hey, I am here to lend my amazing talents and all the KOE Nation listeners to the Marvelous Dog and Chicken Show. But yeah, so great. We've got Flea, we do appreciate your presence, but my God, the coach decided, fuck it.
Yeah, so here
what? Good rush, kids. Let me pat you on the back now.
Found a quick link here from the Des Moines Register. Iowa State and Nebraska, or Iowa State great and Nebraska coach Fred Hoiberg reportedly ill, left his team's bench late in his man. Des Moines needs a new editor. Anyway, left the game Wednesday night against Indiana in the Big Ten tournament and went to the locker room. Stadium's Jeff Goodman said Hoiberg was taken to the hospital afterwards. That's as 57 minutes ago. Yeah, that could be concerning. If you're sick, it's been pretty well documented and called out for weeks now that if you're feeling ill, now, I don't know, maybe suddenly came ill, and didn't have any symptoms prior. I guess it doesn't really say anything in this article, but if he felt ill before the game, yeah, he probably shouldn't have gone. There's a lot of people in those games at times. I don't know, was this a home game or an away game?
Well, yeah,
this is the Big Ten tournament. So yeah, if it's the tournament, there's a lot of people there typically.
Yes, the first Nebraska case of coronavirus was, of course, somebody that just had to go to all these fucking athletic events. So some woman that went to these Fremont basketball games. I'm like, I don't know what it is about the coronavirus that the minute it infects you, it gets into your brain and it makes you immediately want to do one of the lines from the theme song from the show Pokemon. I will travel across the land. Like, what the fuck, man? Why do they always like, hey, I got coronavirus, travel time?
So yeah, Brett did point out here, Big Ten is reporting that he was sick before the game, but still wanted to coach. Shake my damn head is right.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, thanks.
All I got to say to that, Brett, is he is originally from Iowa, so we know what Iowa stands for, right? Sorry, anybody listening from Iowa, but idiots out wandering around. I lived in Algona, Iowa for a while, and I lived that experience. It is true, and definitely in some parts of the state. So can't deny the old Iowa mantra there. Grow the farm up. Got a question or a comment on here.
Yeah, pretty good one here.
People will need basic necessities delivered to their door with a fully traceable audit trail of where it came from. and fully tested and guaranteed to be 100% coronavirus free with an independent label that people will trust.
Whew, that's a tough one. Because when it comes to viruses, they're pretty indiscriminate. They'll just grab up on anybody. But I do understand what you're saying. If you can get a brand that you can convince people, whether it's true or not, whether you can convince them corona free, most popular, whatever the fuck it is, it's the most popular brand of that thing on the planet Earth for the next 18 months.
Should we start a new podcast, just corona free podcast? Like, maybe we'll get clicks. It's clickbaity.
The corona, like, we guarantee if you click on this podcast, you will not catch.
We will cure you.
You will not catch the coronavirus listening or watching the Dog and Chicken Show. That, ladies and gentlemen, is something I can guarantee to you. We will not give you the coronavirus through your phone.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Interacting with us will not get you sick. Well, I don't know. We may plant a seed. We may shove a red pill down your throat at times, but
probably the best way to get those supplies is directly from a local supplier. Products that don't have to travel the globe, products that come from just a few miles or counties away. Oh yeah, that'd be marvelous.
That's easy to say in some areas of the country. That's tough to do in rural areas. You think about those small communities out in the middle of nowhere in Nebraska, especially when you get farther out west in the Panhandle. You look at, some of these states. Hopefully they can shelter in place just fine, and they're not that impacted. But even these medium-sized towns, I'm thinking back in Nebraska area, Phil. You think of. You get about an hour out of Lincoln any direction. It's a pretty small community, and they don't have a lot of resources there. They highly depend on things being transported in.
You do make a very good point there, but like, grow the farm up as his counter is come with a fully traceable audit trail and geographical location points of origin and anyone and everyone that came into contact with it. That's the more important thing, is an auditable trail of everyone that came into contact with said.
Yeah, but then if somebody comes into contact with it after you receive it, what fucking good does that do? Like,
well, up to what you care is who came into contact when you get it. You're the purchaser. You click your little Amazon and you can have an audit trail of a corona-free audit trail, if you will. And so it is actually a pretty brilliant idea, but in terms of the local, I get what he's saying, but it also kind of reminds me of a guy that used to run the Trends Research Institute, Gerald Celente. He lived in New York. Really eccentric guy, really smart guy. He's one of those guys that wears one of those like ascots that like the dude from Scooby-Doo would wear. Like, he's one of those eccentric guys.
God, I just look at him.
But he would talk about, let me tell you something. You should just try and buy local. Oh, if you can buy locally, that's always the best, which is great. But Gerald, you live in New York fucking City. Everything on God's green earth is 32 minutes away from where you're fucking standing. So it's a little, I try to buy local whenever I can. Like now when, unless it's like a specialty item, when I buy vodka, for example, it's usually like Cut Spike or some local distillery. Try and help somebody local out for a change. But boy, I get what you're saying, and grow the farm up. If you're sitting in your house running out of supplies and you make it and you have to make a choice, I would trust that model much more than going to Walmart. Because Walmarts are a little more than another breeding ground for whatever virus. I mean, like the other day I was thinking about going to grab a bite to eat, and there's a Chinese buffet that I like to go to. I was like, fuck that, man.
Those sneeze guards ain't gonna save you.
I gotta grab all those handles that God only knows, Mr. Coronavirus, like 68-year-old coronavirus patient lady. Now let me just grab every handle in here, please. That was my inner Howie Mandel came out in that moment, and I went another route.
Yeah, the
So
whole local supply issue, and as much as I am all for you know, business just doing what they have to do, and I hate seeing small businesses close and try to, you know, blame it on a behemoth you know, corporation coming in. It is a reality. It does happen, and sometimes you just can't compete. But that's the market. You're not keeping up with the market and the need, and you know, not always necessarily doing everything. Sometimes it's just shit. It's just bad roll of the dice, and you know, the big guy can just undercut you on everything. That's unfortunate, but I what I come to when I'm reading the comments he's got there on, you know, trusting local, I would trust local more in a time like this. I absolutely would, but most of those smaller towns and smaller communities don't have local anymore because the big corporate behemoths came in and pushed them all out. Right or wrong, and how it happened, each of them are probably individual stories, but like that is an interesting, I guess it's an interesting thought popping in my head, and I don't know where to go with this right now, but it is kind of a nice reflection of, hey, you got what the consumers wanted, and now what are you gonna do? You can't bring them all back, because as soon as this goes away, you're right. They're just gonna go running back to the previous market as soon as we get past this 30 to 60 days of little craziness, and hopefully that's all it lasts. But you know, that's exactly what'll happen. We'll go back to the way things were. And anybody that does try to have that small town vibe, small town feel, yeah, they'll be praised and thanked for 30 to 60 days, and then they'll be forgotten about when I can go back and get, you know, an 18 pack of toilet paper for $5.
yeah, it's gonna be like I said, like if you have some new toilet paper manufacturer that just drops out of nowhere and starts pumping out all these rolls, when things drop back to normal, that demand's not going to be there anymore, and they might fall out. And that's, like I said, that's what happened with AR-15 makers, and it's really too bad. And you can get really cheap AR-15 parts now. They're yeah, there you can get almost a complete. You got to put the parts together yourself, but an entire AR-15 for $399. That's how cheap they are now. They used to be $2,000 during the height of the fucking gun panic, and now they're $399. So that's the profit difference that a panic buy can give in any different areas of the market. And so, if anybody develops into that market thinking that that's going to last forever, they can run into some problems.
So side topic real quick. I was stumbling through some oh I subscribe to a lot of stuff on YouTube, and there's a lot of them that I don't ever actually listen to. I actually listened to a couple of off the wall ones today, and one just kind of blew me away with a really good point that I never really looked into. But so as we're going to take you back to the Russian collusion conversation real quick, because I found this to be fascinating, that the
You fake
hypocrisy,
news.
yeah, the hypocrisy that we are seeing today, not what we heard 6 months ago, 4 years ago, none of that. Today, there's more of this hypocrisy to where they're bringing up this Russian collusion, Russians doing this, Russians doing that. You're a Russian troll. You're a Russian troll, and we're just pointing this out to everybody, but meanwhile, Bernie Sanders has supporters that come down from Canada carrying signs, fill up his rallies with tons of people that are not American voters. They are Canadians trying to sway the American election. How is that different? They have spent, well, in they brought up the numbers. I don't have them right offhand, but they brought up the numbers of how many people, and then you do it at a minimum wage level, and how many hours they're spending campaigning for Bernie, and it's no different than spending $400,000, which is the max that the Russians would have spent to steal the election from Hillary. It's fascinating that the news is so quick to call out a meme and meme lords for being Russian trolls, but nobody's worried about that secret little bastard up north that's swaying elections in Washington State.
This
Us?
sounds like a sequel to the movie Canadian Bacon. Those bastardly
Yes.
Canadians trying to sway our
Bastards.
elections. Which is like, now, Chicken, you've seen the movie Canadian Bacon, right?
Oh yeah. It's been a
This is
while.
gonna be,
It's been a
you're
while.
gonna, I don't know if you know this, but written, directed, and produced by Michael Moore.
Really?
Yeah, look it up. Michael Moore wrote, directed, and produced the movie, and he even had a cameo scene in it. So it's one of those, it's one of my favorite comedy movies. It's probably like top 10 favorite comedy movies of all time. Probably one of my favorite political comedy movies of all time. And then when I watched it years later, like written, directed, and produced by Michael Moore. Oh, no. Why?
Yeah, back in my liberal youth, I had subscribed to a little Michael Moore propaganda. Going back and watching some of
You
it today.
little commie.
Yeah, the secret commie in me was there at one point. But
I'm
I go back and
shocked
watch
you're
some of
not-
it.
like, I bet, Chicken, if I were to like be in your hotel room, or it's kind of like in pro wrestling when you tear off the shirt and it's the NWO shirt on underneath. I bet if I were to tear that off, there's a Bernie shirt underneath that, you secret commie in hiding you.
No, what I found out, because I went back and watched Fahrenheit 9/11, in some of the, Bowling for Columbine, and some of those earlier ones, and then I'm like, okay, I know the facts now. I was younger then. I was too lazy to look it up. But now I'm like, okay, I see where he got a lot of this wrong, and where he took conjecture, and he did what he did with those films, and it worked at the time. But then I kind of went through and was like, I know what he did influence wise on me. He built my conspiracy theory bone. It was Michael Moore, not the Alex Jones of the world. It was Michael Moore got me to be a conspiracy theorist.
Well, you know why I always talk about on this podcast, persuasion. Persuasion is what makes the world go round. If you're capable of being able to be a storyteller that is persuasive, the world is yours. There's really, you've got it made at that point. Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11, I've watched the movie. It didn't really convince me of anything, but I was astonished by, he was actually utilizing very high level persuasion throughout that movie. Now, note that I'm not saying he was oh so very truthful throughout that movie. Truth and persuasion they don't necessarily
You align the
have to be the same
convenient
thing.
facts. You align the convenient facts to align with your narrative, and then try to sympathize with the viewer and tug at the heartstrings. Right? That's what he was trying to do through the whole thing. Am I wrong?
No, not really. But he was, like I said, but when I found that out for Canadian Bacon, I thought like, dang it. But what you're describing is the Canadians are actively trying to interfere in our elections. If somebody named, Dimitri happened to be doing that and he had a Make America Great Again hat on,
Well, I guess it's only worth investigating if it's done over the internet. But if you come here in person, it's okay.
Don Lemon and Brian Seltzer would literally shit a live chicken on television if you were to see a Russian dude with a Make America Great Again hat saying, I think you should vote for Donald Trump. And so the fact that we have a Canadian, those little snow commies.
Them bastards.
Brett DeLay, though, the flea, master of the frog splash. Coach was released from hospital with flu-like symptoms. Surely he was tested for COVID-19, right? I'm gonna guess he was, and him not wanting to release what it was or wasn't pretty much tells you all you need to know. But sorry, in this particular environment, if you're already sick, you're like, no, I want to coach this game. Oh, shove your weird fucking sense of this is the right thing for the game up your fucking ass. I am sorry, but my God, you literally put everyone else's health at risk. Maybe your players could have made it through, but what if one of your players has a really elderly mother or grandmother that they are dependent on him? Like you are putting their lives at risk now, which is also, Chicken, why they're trying to prevent the schools as much as they can, because you can potentially be a carrier for weeks.
Yeah, that's why that's why your quarantine period's up to 2 weeks at a time. So Brett did send me University of Nebraska Medical Center experts predict high infection numbers from COVID-19, or as I like to call it, the beer flu, if precautions aren't taken. This article came out last night, and yet he's still even though University Medical Center staff have advised against this. So obviously we're not even listening to the medical experts there at the own medical university staffing. But then it says that the Nebraska basketball team quarantined briefly after Hoiberg leaves the game sick. This is as of 10:43 this evening. So this is within the hour. This is some breaking news here. Don't know how long this will go or if this is over already. I guess I'll try to keep you posted if anything pops up on here, but that's scary. That's, that's concerning. If as a coach and as a leader, you put your team, your staff, and your fans at risk like that, there could be some major backlash. Let's hope everything's okay. Hopefully this just blows over and it's not a big deal, but potentially this is a bad deal.
Well, I don't really watch football.
This is people basketball. Who watch
basketball.
Football season's over, bud.
Does it show? Boy. But I generally don't watch basketball. People that are into wrestling and mixed martial arts, they generally don't follow other sports, which is kind of fascinating. But now this is going to sound really extreme coming from a guy who doesn't watch basketball, but I really think that coach probably needs to lose his job.
Possibly. If it turns out that things are worse, then for sure will. I'm looking at Twitter right now and it's just like gifs of him rubbing his forehead, bending over and sweating and looking terrible. Yeah, this is a bad deal.
Now, when we found out Tom Hanks tested positive for coronavirus, your first thing was, shit, the death pool.
Yeah. I am a terrible human being.
Dick, dude. I'm sorry. Sometimes you're kind of a fucking dick. Wow. Now I get it, but man, I was about to say this coronavirus could really skew some people's death pools this year. My God.
Yeah, so Phil's talking. Me, him, and Tony have a group text, and right away I was like, "Hey, Tom Hanks is coming out saying he has coronavirus. Nobody has him on his death pool. ... And then my next comment was probably something we shouldn't say live on air, but had something to do with maybe starting over in Hollywood. I'll let you take your imagination wild with that statement. Yes, you can about imagine. We got some more questions from Grow the Farm Up. Well, obviously, guys, you can't get everything you need from 2 blocks away from your house. Fair. That is fair. We live in one of the most food-rich and water-rich areas in the world. Some products will need to be sourced from hundreds of miles away. That's why you have the fully traceable audit trail. You know what? I tell you what, Grow the Farm Up. Apparently, you have this all figured out. So I'm looking forward to calling you when I need some supplies, because this is not something I could logistically do. I guess that's probably where my stance and I'm not necessarily pushing back on. I'm just trying to think a realistic person probably could not create this without a certain amount of contacts, wealth, supplies, storage facilities, and there's a lot of resources involved that would need to be traced together. So I'm sure there's individuals out there that
you
could
just really
profit.
Need to convince Jeff Bezos that it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Because all
and
that
it
shit you
might.
just described, he's got that shit in spades and then some.
Right. And so my argument against kind of, it's not against, I think this is a good idea and it's the right thing to do. But my argument is most of your local small business people that would fill some of these voids and help you build this are not there anymore. Like there's so many breakdowns in the small community delivery chain, even within hundreds of miles of radius. It can be a challenge. Sure, people can step up and people can fill those voids. I'm not saying that can't happen. I like the idea. I like where you can go with it. I think it's really easy to type it up and think about it and talk about it, and it's really easy for me to shit on it. So, I don't know. I'm sure other people could prove me wrong on it pretty quick.
Well, it sounds like a bit of a simplified and bit more wieldy version of an ISO 9001 audit trail, but instead it's more geared to making sure that your shit's virus free, which eventually is going to be a desired service regardless
How
of
can
how
you guarantee
local
that
or
though?
foreign it is.
We can't even test everybody right now. How
Oh,
can you
dude,
test
it's
your
like the
products?
fucking Better Business Bureau or an eBay fucking ranking. It doesn't really mean anything, but enough people gave you enough fucking thumbs up and 5-star ratings that, well, okay, enough people say they haven't gotten coronavirus from getting their fucking, I don't know, Rice Krispies or, sent from Grow the Farm Up fucking logisticsco.com and shit.
Well, until you have some shit bag that just doesn't like your service or got the wrong order one day and they say, fuck you, you gave me coronavirus and break down your whole goddamn system. I hope we're not relying on the internet for this whole damn thing because that sounds scary as shit to me.
Well, you do raise an excellent point. When we go fully digital, what happens if the sun ever does hit us with an EMP?
Yeah.
Is just the whole world just fucked for 6 months?
Somebody will have to
know.
go outside. Somebody's got to go out. No. Somebody's got to go out and make shit. Somebody's going to have to go out and fix shit. I don't know.
Now,
We all come up with our different utopias of scenarios, and you might be on the right track. I just think there's holes in the game that we may need to consider, but I think you're on the right track.
Well, you got a good point, but it sounds like what we're doing ain't working. And, Chicken, you were the guy who did send me pictures of empty Walmart shelves. So apparently our logistical network is not scratching every itch. And that's funny thing about when you wave money in people's faces, they'll find a way to scratch that itch. But as I sit here on my piles of apocalypse baller currency,
apocalypse balling over there. Love it.
Yeah, Grow the Farm Up. You make some really good points. I wonder how much longer our current model of shopping physically and shit like that's going to last. And you were saying we were going to need all of this different logistics. Well, I mean, Chicken, you work for one of them. Amazon's another one. That's where the logistics are. I mean, they have them. They're just going to have to shift their business model, unfortunately, because Walmart, everybody I've talked to, all the other stores have their normal supplies, but Walmart is just cleaned out because that's the first place everyone goes. So that's going to be where coronavirus spreads first.
Yeah. It's the damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario on some of this. I do like Brett's comment. You know who's extremely quiet right now? The anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, it's a whole out of them. Holy shit! You ain't heard none. Like my daughter's fully vaccinated, but I always like to make the teasing. Like I'd always like, well, hell, yeah, if your vaccines are so effective, how could my unvaccinated child be any harm to your vaccinated child? And I would just say that to people in the nursing industry just to be a horse's ass, just to get the reaction out of them. And they knew I was kidding, but it's still like one of those like, ugh. Now they're not saying a damn thing, are they? And boy, when the first vaccine for Corona is put out,
where's Sheryl Crow? Huh?
God, no shit. But yeah, I'll be honest with you. When the first Corona vaccine comes out, I'm not going to take it. I'm young enough to the point where it's going to suck and I'll get sick, but I'm not going to. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be some pharmaceutical company's research and development and taking a first run vaccine at anything on God's green earth. So I'm going to let somebody else take that hill and fucking take that beach for me. And we'll see what happens with that vaccine in about 3 years.
It'll be interesting. There's no optimism that there's gonna be a vaccine anytime soon either.
18 months is the soonest
yeah.
it will come out, according to the CDC and the World Health Organization.
So when we had our coronavirus full on episode, we didn't do a live one. We did a pre-recorded and got a little tipsy and me and Tony went through and talked about this. And I think we some of us might downplay it a little bit, but I think we gave the message of be prepared because this could become something. But then I think something along with that episode was more of a, not only with the be prepared scenario and thinking about it, we're gonna have to run that one back and get some updates and actually do, because this thing is going to it's almost inevitable now that this thing's going to spread it. But one thing I brought up in that episode was that game Plague Inc. And you and Tony had never played it before, and those who have never played or know what I'm talking about, you can look it up in Google Play Store or your Apple apps and look up Plague Inc. It's kind of a neat little game, and you are pretty much trying to spread a disease across the planet and try to kill the entire population without humans creating a cure. So sometimes you have to, either mutate it really fast so it can spread faster and kill people faster, or you, depending on the disease and what kind of virus you're spreading, you demutate it so it spreads first, and then you kill everybody with it and mutate it really fast so it has terrible symptoms. So there's different strategies you can go with it. But I played it, and Phil, when I ran the Corona strain with the similar symptoms that it has right now, it came out in two different scenarios when I played that game. Assuming it doesn't mutate any more than
does that ever happen? Really, viruses don't do
that. Right. So assuming it doesn't mutate and it stays at its current state, according to Plague Inc. in the two runs that I gave it, two scenarios happen. One, we find a cure and have it gone in about 9 months with less than 1 million people worldwide dying. The other one was 18 months with 20 million people dying. That's according to that game.
Honestly,
but I also did run it back a third time and did not give it the symptoms that it currently has, so it would spread to everybody. So I infected the entire planet with no symptoms, and then I gave it like every symptom on that the game allows, and it took me what was it, 21 months to kill the entire population.
This is a terrible thing that just suddenly occurred to me. If this virus were to actually like spread like brush fire, like it did in Italy in those few communities, this could actually be a virus that swings a presidential election just due to its fatality rate, because the fatality rate is overwhelmingly elderly people, and that is overwhelmingly President Trump's greatest voting base.
Yeah. Not only that,
that's wow.
The infection rate, so is what? It's like 1,200, 1,300 people as of tonight. This thing is doubling almost by the day. So, tomorrow it's going to be over 2,000. The next day it could be upwards of 4,000, and it just doubles almost daily after that. So, we're looking at 10,000 people, within a week's time frame being infected, assuming we have the tests and test results back from those folks. But even if we don't test them, the infection rate is that high. That's what we've seen in Italy. If you have community spread and they're not quarantining like we've seen in Italy, that's how fast this thing can mutate, or not mutate, but jump and spread. So hopefully our quarantines are working with those 1,200 people. But if there's already community spread going on, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the thing is at first we didn't know if this one was capable of being airborne, and that's what makes this one particularly bad is there are airborne flus, but most of them you have to make actual direct contact with the skin in order to, or there has to be direct bodily fluid transfer. Um, with this one, it can stay airborne for quite a while, and any kind of water vapors. So, like, yeah, they say cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze because just a average human cough actually exit the esophagus going 100 miles per hour. So that's pushing a lot of moisture into the air. And so that's when you see people wearing the mask is not going to stop you from getting the virus. The mask will stop you from spreading the virus if you already have it. So that's the only reason. If you get sick and you need to go out, you're kind of a fucking asshole if you don't wear the mask.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of talk on the mask. Here's the thing about the mask and being an asshole with it is the masks that do work, we need for doctors and hospitals because there's a major
Ah,
shortage on the ones that do work. So if you're an asshole that's hoarding the masks that do work, which is what the N95s is like the only one, there's a massive shortage. Hospitals can't get them. So they have like less than a few masks to do surgery with because some hoarder in Alabama is sitting in a a bunker underground right now filled with fucking toilet paper is buying all this shit up. Like,
hey, now speak for yourself. And seeing Brett DeLay, your wife, load up on TP today. Honestly, I picked this up just because yesterday, or actually this morning, I ran out of shit tickets, and I figured I'll pick some up on the way back from work. And then when I get home, Trump's making a speech. And Chicken, you sent me a picture. You should put that up on the screen because everybody's talking about empty Walmarts and such. And was this the bottled water aisle or the shit ticket aisle?
it was the shit ticket aisle. I can try to find it here. It's on my phone. I should have put it on Facebook. I'll post it to our the Big Buckin' Entertainment site. If you go to Facebook and we have a Big Buckin' Entertainment on Facebook. It's a group we have. Jumping on there, I'll post some folks or pictures on there. And I'll after the show's finished up tonight, I'll post a link in the description as well. If you don't want to look it up right now, you can come back afterwards and look it up. But yeah, it's in. And I'll tell you what, Phil, the picture. It's honestly the aisle is. I'm trying to remember how many sections it is. I think it's an 80-foot aisle, 80 to 100-foot aisle, one of the two. But and it's all that big, thick, 4 foot deep warehouse steel, completely empty. That was right after we got a truck in, like immediately after. It was gone within like an hour and a half. It's gone.
Now, I will say, as a germophobic prepper, I am delighted that the rest of the country is finally on board. Welcome aboard, everybody. It's a great time. But now, if you could do what the rest of us preppers did and just kind of time your insane purchases out a little more spread, that would be better. Like, it would be more better for the whole country. Now, yeah, granted, I get it. We all need to max out our credit card on that one thing you suddenly realized you can't live without. May he may the prepper who is without that cast the first stone. But now, granted, I just thought this would be such a great visual for this evening. Of we're now in the toilet paper kingdom.
Yeah. I bought stocks in the wrong companies. Should have went after bleach and toilet paper, but
You should have just physically bought toilet paper because in the true
well,
apocalypse,
yeah,
this
honestly,
is
I
mine.
thought it was one of those ones that people go, "That's dumb. We're not going to buy that." I get the hand sanitizer. I 100% agree. You should probably buy sanitizer and Clorox and those things, but I was like, nah, toilet paper. That's just an internet meme and people this isn't real. I thought it was like one of those 4chan things like uh that they made up to cause a panic. Maybe I don't fuck maybe it is, but I was just like, this isn't gonna last. And now my wife is texting me today of, hey, if you happen to find toilet paper, we only have a couple rolls left because all the assholes bought it all up. Because I told her
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, she's like, should I stock up on toilet paper? I go, don't you be one of those fucking assholes. Don't you do
Chicken,
it.
no matter how much you don't want to be part of the herd on that, how much you think it's silly, guess what? We all have assholes and we have to maintain them. It's a constant task for every human. And
See,
here
grow
in
the farm
West,
up, grow the
we
farm
gonna
up.
forget that.
Here's a good example. Grow the farm up earlier said when you see people running one way, you go 180 degrees in the other way. Well, I did that and it did not fucking work for me.
Except
And
we all have assholes, though. That's
we are
like, I'm sorry,
all
like
assholes.
like it's one of those great, like, unifying kumbaya, like, yes, my child, we all are joined by the great asshole of life. Like it's all a continuous circle. But now, yeah, this is gonna be now. It just suddenly occurred to me. Some of my family's been watching the live stream, and if they're short on toilet paper,
They're gonna be fucking mad at you now.
they're gonna be hitting me like, "Come on, Phil, bro, come on! I got a bunch of kids. I just need a roll or two, bro. Come on, hook me up with a roll, man. How about you hook me up with 30 sheets? Come on, bro, hook me up with 30 sheets."
Yeah. Oh wow. So Brett's this could be a good reason for me to get my wife to look into stock up on ramen noodles. Yes, let's stock up on good food. And why ramen noodles? Like, you know what I did stock up on was like canned soups because I really do like canned soups. And on those days, I don't care if it's summer, I don't care when it is. If I'm too lazy to cook, I like to just crack open a thing of canned soup, throw it into a pan and warm it up. I don't know why it's so much better when you warm it up in a pan, but yeah, I'm good. I'm good on food. I'm good on everything. I think the only thing still need to stock up on outside of toilet paper, kids assholes like Phil, is probably I don't have a liquor cabinet full of shit like Phil does. And if the liquor store's closed down, um I I probably need to pick up, you know, a nice selection of different stuff. I got like 4 or 5 bottles at home of stuff I haven't opened yet, but
Oh, if you
I
got
don't
four
have the
bottles of unopened liquor, like, now I don't know how much whiskey can you go through a night, but like that, me, I kind of inadvertently, I didn't anticipate any kind of apocalypse coming up. I was just anticipating different podcasts and making different content, so I stocked up on a couple different scotches and such. So I got the complete Johnny Walker line from red to blue, so that's kind of cool. And I got some of those scotches we had, some you liked more than others the other night. So, hell, drink to your health, I suppose. And there was that one guy in China who claimed, that's the important part, claimed he cured his coronavirus with hot whiskey and honey. So,
oh Jesus. So there was that guy, and then I saw a video on Facebook. It was guys in Iran that thought they could have themselves become immune to coronavirus by taking a bath in cow dung. Like
huh.
the internet's
Oh,
great.
okay. Yeah, wow. That's not going to, wow.
Let's see. Brett agrees. Absolutely, soup on the stove is the best. Damn right it is. Then Phil, the question is: will you just use the TP from the podcast stand, or will you actually put it away?
Well, yeah, I'm eventually going to put it away. I mean, obviously, but I had to. I'm sorry, Brett.
He's got
This
to
is
create
too good
dramatic
of a
effect.
visual gag. I am not letting this opportunity go. It's like, here we are in the great TP apocalypse, the T-pocalypse, and I figured, all right, here we are. This is like a king in a Mad Max scenario in the coronavirus. Like, yeah, I was there. Corona 2020. I was a king sitting on a throne made of toilet paper. Like,
no, but in all seriousness, I think we all do need to be aware and keep our eyes out for some of the elderly folks. I hadn't taken any of this seriously up until that Trump speech. When Trump, of all people, that's been like, this is a Democrat conspiracy, and he was downplaying this thing all the way up until the night. But when he's going, yeah, yeah, like I've been watching the news and my little conspiratorial brain's clicking, going, okay, start prepping. And I didn't do it. I was like, holding off, I'm being careful. I was just like, okay, stop it. This isn't a big deal. Don't fall for it. And now I'm not panicking. I'm sitting here thinking, I know I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be well off. I'm in good health. My family's in good health. We're all young enough. If we do get sick, it'll be like the flu and we'll get over it. We're probably going to be fine. But then I worry more about some of the elderly folks. um I think, I start thinking of where have I been and who have I been in contact with, in case, maybe I'm a carrier and don't show symptoms. And I went down to see my mother last week when I came down to see you guys. I give a shit less if I infected you guys, but I went to see my mother the next day. Like, what if I get my mother sick with coronavirus? I'd feel like an asshole.
Yeah.
Hopefully none of that's the case. I went and seen my father-in-law. Like, hopefully I didn't, bring anything to him. I was in Pierre, South Dakota. It's got 5 cases that came up out of nowhere the other day. I was just there during that time frame. Granted, I didn't touch anybody or come into contact with a lot of people, but you never know. It's airborne, so God knows what'll happen. But that's how shit
No,
spreads. That's how this shit goes
let's
down.
see. I got a box of 15 pounds of bacon. I got some other varying things stocked up. But when I was shuffling papers around, chicken, I opened my drawer and, oh shit, son! There's still a bit on here, just an old toilet paper roll in my drawer I was using for Kleenexes. Shit, bro!
You better be
Up in
careful.
this bitch.
You just wait. You wait like a month and a half, 2 months. Somebody's gonna come up knocking at your door and be like, "I'll suck your dick for some toilet paper."
Get off my porch, you dirty asshole, motherfucker!
Oh, yeah. Good stuff. Jesus Christ. World's going to hell. World's going to hell.
Yep, that'll be how we measure. That'll be like the untouchables versus the upper crust in the post-apocalypse. Are you a clean asshole or a dirty asshole? Welcome to the apocalypse, bitch. But yeah, that'll be grow the farm up. We appreciate the fact you're still with us, sir. We're already doing it, chicken. The logistics are that simple. Hell, I think sometime, chicken, we might need to have this rapscallion ne'er-do-well on to,
Might need to. I always caution anybody that says logistics are the simple part. It reminds me. What was the quote? You're more of a Reagan guy than I am, but he said, our liberal friends.
I got it. Yeah, come on, you gotta let me do this. Do not fault our liberal friends. They are not ignorant. It is just that they know so much that isn't so.
Exactly. And so when I see people try to downplay the problems with logistics, sometimes it's fair. Sometimes it's fair to judge the complaints from the logistics community and the issues that and the constraints that can come from it. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And you have to pay attention to it because there's underlying issues and there's always a why behind it. Your typical truck driver or coordinator or distributor, they're not bitching for no reason. They're stressed about something, and maybe they don't know why they're as stressed as they are, and that's where you need to have the caution. It's not what they post forward that stress. Just like any stressed out person you meet, it's not what they're presenting as being stressed. It's what's behind the scenes. Is there something else that they may not be aware of?
What if a major truck stop like a Buc-ee's in Texas gets hit with coronavirus, and now every trucker that's part of the logistics network that we're talking about is now down and out?
And
And
how many truck drivers are, under 60 years old without a health condition? There's a lot, but how many are over 60 with health conditions and obesity?
there's a few. There's enough to bring it up as a point of concern. So this is going to be an interesting one. This is the first virus that I'll be honest with you. Regardless of the outcome, I hope for the best and we have minimal deaths and we all look back like, whoo, man, you remember that one? That was fucked up. And we all bought toilet paper. Jesus. At least we had shit tickets for the next 6 months. That's what I hope we look back on. But if we don't, man, I see I do see this changing the way that we interact. Anyone can do logistics. If you really run out of essential survivor supplies, we don't have a choice. Make it work. Excellent point. Grow the farm up. There is a point where we just have to figure out a way to make it work, where people are trying to survive this life.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It's how complicated we make it that creates the logistic problem. So if it's just a matter of get to point A to point B with this shit, yeah, anybody can make that work. I agree with that's a basic premise to go off of. I do agree with that. But it's when you start complicating it with testing, is this virus free? Let's track everybody. That's when it gets a little bit more complicated. It's not going to be as easy. But Phil seems to just want to blow it off and been like anybody fucking knows if this is the truth or not. So we'll just fucking say we're doing it and everything's good. So I don't know. I try to run my business with some integrity, but apparently that's not important to you, Phil.
I am the very epitome of integrity, sir. I'm also the most modest motherfucker that's ever lived on this planet, ever. But no, this one's, it has the potential to be interesting. I hope it turns out well. But if it does have the maximum bad effect, boy, this is one that, this will be a before and after era.
Yeah.
But what I was getting at was that this is the first virus that I hope it turns out well, but this is the first real contagion that in our era has captured the imagination in
It's
the
it's
wrong
the
way.
only contagion that's captured imagination.
We've had SARS
That
had
doesn't count.
its. I know. I was gonna say it didn't really get there. It kind of started. It was.
Swine flu doesn't
But
count.
I would say the last one that really
West
captured
Nile
the
doesn't count.
imagination was Ebola.
Ebola counts.
Was one
That
that,
scared people.
yes. And now Corona, and it's like Tony said, it's got a catchy hook. So because it's got a catchy hook, it's going to capture the imagination. And when it captures the imagination, fuck, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how deadly or undeadly the virus is. It's already deadly before it infects you because it's already altering all of our behaviors.
Yep. So back to chats. We got Grow the Farm Up jumping back in here. Direct retailing is our specialty, directly to the consumer. Cut out as many middlemen as possible. This decreases potential for money overage or inflation. And for beer flu contamination, it's catching on. Beer flu. Damn right. Let's make that trending. Have quarantine food supplies never exposed, quarantine water supplies never exposed. I'm sure there's easier ways to do that than I'm probably making it. You might be right. That wouldn't be hard to keep quarantined food and water supplies and have instructions for folks to take care of it upon delivery to avoid contamination. I'm sure there's an easy system to put in place for that.
Have you ever worked with the ISO 9000 audit system, Chicken? Just curious. I 9001. I know there's some folks out there that are not happy, but do you have any experience with it?
Not directly, but indirectly, yes.
Okay, I've got some very direct experience with it. And I could say, like, when it comes to setting up an audit system, there is that awkward moment in the setup, and there's going to be a lot of folks that are used to the way it used to be, grumbling and moaning and going, this is a lot of hard work. But then everybody actually gets used to it pretty quick, and everybody finds a system that works. And when you have an audit system like this, like Grow the Farm Up, he's got a really good point that all you really need to do is have something that people trust. It's like the Better Business Bureau. The Better Business Bureau is it's a paper tiger bag of bullshit. There's really nothing there to the Better Business Bureau other than we've got our sticker and people believe in it. And it's like the Game of Thrones. I've watched very little of it, but when Varys is asking Tyrion, and it's a riddle. There is a sellsword with a sword, and there's a king, a rich man, and a priest. And all three of them are trying to get the sellsword to kill the other two. Who lives and who dies? And the answer to that riddle is power resides where men believe it resides. So if you can get if you can get market legitimacy, like eBay, for example, Amazon, they have market legitimacy. You know, when you give your credit card information and you click that button, you have at least a fairly reasonable expectation that at least your bank account's not going to get cleaned out tomorrow by some 16-year-old hacker from Belarus. So that's when you have faith in a product, that actually kind of helps build the snowball. And that's how you would make an audit system where people believe that shit doesn't have a virus in it would work. It's more faith than anything else.
Yeah. You know what? You know what my audit system is with people? It's just trust. Most people that have known me long enough, been around me long enough, know that I'll tell you when you're being a dick, and I'll tell you what you don't want to hear sometimes, but yeah, some people can handle it, some people can't, and it's the truth community, and that community is getting smaller, so that's why you turn to these digital forms of auditing, because nobody has trust in humans anymore. And I think that's something, if this were to go bad, if this were to become a 2 year like catastrophe, and it really shuts down world markets, you would have to go back to that human-based trust system. And I think it would be great long term. And it would go to some of what Grow the Farm Up's talking about. It would help us reintroduce some of the basics and principles when it comes to where our markets have derived from and what they should be more like. I like that, some things he's got on here. Facilities and factories create products out of available inputs. It's not going to say Crest. It's not going to say General Mills. Fair. No, I agree that I don't want a brand name on it. I want to know that I can trust who I'm getting it from. If I know Phil's going to give me good scotch anytime I go to his house. I know that. I trust Phil to say, "Hey, this is a pretty good
fair
scotch."
assessment, sir.
Yeah, I know Phil's going to give me some pretty good scotch just with my past experiences with him. Maybe one of them's not great, but it was still pretty good. Now,
Are you talking
that's
about that Lagavulin?
yeah, yeah. uh but however, like that's the primitive version of our free market system. So, and then he mentions this is the independent marketplace that turned into independent preppers marketplace. This is already happening, man. Shelves are empty. Wake up. I am awake to this. Don't get me wrong. I might be a little behind because I was downplaying it a little bit, maybe out of more optimism bias, I guess, was probably where I was. I'll admit that a little bit. I'll admit when I'm wrong on some things. I had an optimism bias on this. I was hoping this wouldn't happen, but you're right. I probably do need to wake up a little bit. I'm not going to go full prepper mode. I feel I got a good stock at home of basic necessities. I have enough food to get me through 30 days. I can ration things out plenty. I got a big freezer stocked full of not only uncooked but cooked meats. So I'm prepared for a couple of scenarios, and I could get by pretty well. I got plenty of water if the faucet went off. Phil makes fun of that. Why do people think the water faucet's going to turn off? But hey, I got a shit ton of water at home
Yeah.
if I
And
needed
I,
it.
and yeah, I get what you're saying, and it's always good to have extra water. But I'm sorry, like if you're telling me that there's a contagion that's easily spread, that's fatal to the elderly, I just don't see how that's going to actually factually turn. Like, I don't see that causing the lights to turn off and the faucet will not run anymore due to that. I'm sorry that the utility companies will keep them running. All right, like
So who's
just
going to
stay in
keep
your
them running
house,
though?
wash your hands, hang around with folks who you're pretty sure aren't sick, I guess,
So
and
so who's
chill.
going to keep them running though, Phil? I guess that's where you come into it, because there's different scenarios. You got water treatment facilities in towns. You have there's different plumbing systems set up, whether you're getting it, through natural water, rivers or reservoirs, or some places coming. Some farms have wells. Some people have big, huge
Well,
plants outside of town. Like,
let's take a big
somebody's got to maintain those, is
logistics
what I'm
problem
saying.
here.
So real quick, Phil, real quick. Like, every town has a different water supply system. Let's just talk water supplies. Every town's a little different, and we're not always aware of what our town's water supply is if you're not researching it. So, like Fairmont, for example, Fairmont, Nebraska, somebody's got to go in and maintain that physically. You have to go into the facility and maintain it. If everybody that knows how to maintain it, which, uh, sorry to freak anybody in Fairmont out, I think it's only a few handful of people, maybe three in the whole fucking town that are not only qualified but know what to do, and understand the system. It could be as few as three people that 500 plus people are counting on. What if all three of those people are ill or quarantined or can't work on that? That's scary. That's 500 people's water.
Well,
Um,
I understand what you're saying there, and I think to make it a little bit more illustrative for our audience, I'm going to take that logistical problem and expand it to much larger cities so people can understand. And I'm going to use the examples of Lincoln and Omaha. Let's say that either one, pick either city, Lincoln or Omaha, has a very big contagion spread to the point where it actually does shut down a utility of some kind. Maybe the trash can't come, maybe the water doesn't run, maybe you know the power's not running, the police can't police, whatever. Take your pick. One of the utilities isn't running. First of all, President Trump has already okayed loans that would be necessary to keep the country running in coronavirus, in the event of the coronavirus. So, what would be the most likely and the easiest solution would be a town like, let's say, Omaha gets or Lincoln gets hit with the flu. They would offer overtime pay to a city like Omaha or Kansas City or somewhere in South Dakota or some city in Colorado, offer a very high overtime pay to keep the lights, to keep the water flowing. There's going to be somebody that's going to be willing to make that risk if there's enough money to go down on it. And we now basically have infinite credit, as announced by President Trump tonight, in order to make whatever loan to keep whatever city still running available. So there's going to be some free money here going for quite a while.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something we didn't touch on earlier. I went directly into CNN shitting on anything they could, but there wasn't much they could. Like, they were trying to nitpick anything they could on anything he said. But he's working on 2 weeks paid. And I don't know how this looks. I imagine we're gonna tell employers to pay your employees. If anybody knows any more details about this, feel free to shout them out in the chat. But or maybe Phil, but I imagine this will turn out to being a, hey, if you have an employee that is in quarantine or contracted, you pay them and the government will pay you back. Because I imagine that how that's going to work. I can't imagine. I don't know. I'm sure there's bureaucracy and paperwork to fill out. Hopefully, we skip.
Every single utility will have for the next 18 months something known as quarantine pay or
Right.
something
So,
like that.
but
Corona pay.
Yeah, what I was talking about is like he expanded that. It sounded like it was beyond utilities. It was people that had necessary work, which uh, that's beyond utilities. That goes to medical fields. That goes widespread. That's cops, cops, police, fire, rescue. This is going to be widespread, but it's how is the government bureaucracy gonna get in the way of this? Because I have a feeling that somebody's gonna say, no, the employee needs to fill out this paperwork to get their 2 weeks paid, and then it'll be showing up 6 months later. Or are we gonna let the employer just go ahead and pay the employee, and then the employer gets paid back 6 months later? Because the employer can usually afford to wait 6 months. Most of them, maybe not a small business owner, but most. I think that's a safer risk to play. Um, that's not specified in there. I would like to learn more about that.
My God, you brilliant bastard. You might have just figured out a way to turn the American voter against public sector unions. If through this
Oh,
entire contagion, we can't get the logistic workers we need for the services we need because of public sector union red tape nonsense chicken, you might have just figured out how to destroy the dragon against capitalism that is public sector unions once and for all. As a man who used to call himself a Democrat, I give you a bow, sir.
I'll take it, sir. I'll take it. Well, that's the first thing that popped in my head when Trump was saying, "Hey, if you got to stay home for 2 weeks and be quarantined, you're going to be paid. We're going to find the funds. We're going to figure this out. We're going to pay you." That's pretty much the message he got, and he didn't really focus it on any, from what I understand, no any specific field of work. He just said American workers will be taken care of if they have a 2 week quarantine. And then an article I read was, if you are actually sick, up to 26 weeks is what he's working on for aid to anybody that needs it. So if you actually are ill from it, they're trying to expand this to 26 weeks, providing documentation to where they'll support your pay and protect your job. Now, I know some jobs have limited family FMLA leaves. They go to the minimum of the federal regulations, and will start cutting your pay after a certain time, and then they won't protect your job after a certain time. I know through some things that I've seen is that is getting super just, hey, you know what? We're fuck the time frames. Your job's safe. Like, we're gonna figure this out. Like, I see my company being super, hey, like, just let us know. Just let us know. We'll figure this out. You're fine. Don't worry about it. And that's kind of the stance Trump took tonight. I was proud of the man. I thought
Well,
I
no company wants to be the company that's like, nope,
well, no,
yeah,
but we don't want to be the
coronavirus, you're
country.
fucking fired. Like, who wants to be that Ebenezer Scrooge?
Yeah, we don't want to be the country like that either, though. And I don't know. I was proud of my company. In the prior week and a half, for how they've responded to some of this, and even though there's a very low contraction rate within the organization. But then I see, Trump right in line exactly with how he's reacting, the same way that my corporate leadership is reacting. It's the right thing to do. And he made a good point of, we are more prosperous, we have the money, we have the resources, we have everything we need to handle this. If we use it correctly and we take care of each other, we're going to be just fine. And kind of for the first time, Phil, after, I don't know, I know I'm in my mid 30s, and I've always been a proud American, but I think between State of the Union and tonight, like tonight was more a dire straits speech, but between the State of the Union and tonight were probably my two most proudest days to be an American.
I understand the sentiment, sir. I certainly do. This is a very interesting moment. I wonder if we're going to be able to finally rally together, if this will finally be the.
Not if Don Lemon or fucking CNN has anything to say about it.
Well, fuck them. Of course, there's always going to be people talk, but I don't know if you've ever heard of the Christmas Treaty of World War One. Were you?
Yeah. That's where the Germans and the Allies they put down arms for the night, and they all drank and danced and had good fun together. Generals got pissed the next day, but
Yep. That, and they even played soccer together. And for one day, their arms were down. And I'm hoping this coronavirus might be the arms down armistice of our cold civil war in this country. That is the only. If you're going to try and find a silver lining in a dark cloud, I'm hoping against hope that that's one we can at least pull from this.
yeah, something's got to come out of this. Let's see. Brett agrees. That's what he understands from what Trump said. So good. I'm not alone on that one. Grow the farm up. I don't know if he's behind on the feed. Maybe he's not live right now. I didn't say logistics are easy. I do it for a living. Logistics are a nightmare, but we're making up against a much larger nightmare. So for the sake of argument, we can say logistics are the easy part of this. So I assume he's a little bit behind the live feed. He probably paused it for a little bit or joined a little bit later. Because I think we're in agreement at this point. Like the arguments is made. I think he's on the right track. I think he's right on a lot of these things. And at the end of the day, I think it does become. He mentions the preppers marketplace. I wish it was the preppers marketplace every day. Like, honestly, I do agree there needs to be some securities and thoughtfulness behind, whether that's ingredient labels and sourcing and know where you're getting your shit from. I agree with all that. However, I don't like all the middlemen, red tape, bureaucracy, extra bullshit, extra taxes, all the things that add money to it that are unnecessary. And then especially as much as I want to slap the dog and chicken show on every piece of product I can and sell it and get money for it, I still think that's terrible.
That's just your inner commie trying to come out.
How is that communism? How is that commie? I don't understand how that's commie.
Against the machine. Fuck you! I won't do what you tell me.
That's not communism. That's just being a dick.
Yeah, that's true communism. Rage Against the Machine for their return reunion concert. $300 a ticket. Like a true commie.
Wow. Like a true commie. That I do agree with. That is kind of communism.
But yeah, like to grow the farm up's point, it's like, yeah, logistics are a nightmare, but the nightmare we're facing right now is far greater. So I kind of understand where he's coming from in the aspect of eBay. What eBay does every day is adjudicate tens of thousands of fraud claims without law courts. That is the fact that
and
they're
they do
able
well.
to,
They do a good job with it too.
yeah,
Like,
they do an amazingly good job. So could you imagine a company that their only job is to adjudicate and have a system of audit from basically grain to your glass, if you will, like they say on some of the whiskeys, from grain to glass whiskeys. If you had an audit trail of that was able to ensure that it was a virus-free transmission from grain to you, for example, or from the cow's pasture right to your plate, and you have an audit trail, there's going to be some of those more techie than thou types in this world that are going to jump all over that, dude.
I try to think of that as longevity. Like, how long is that going to be important? So they're saying this could be like a long-term flu and join the regular flu viruses in further seasons, but there's still evidence building that this may not survive through high heat and summer conditions. Some people call it conspiracy. The jury's out right now. We don't
Yeah,
know.
but chicken. This is the bigger
Well,
picture that I think.
where I was going with
hang on
it,
here. This
where
is
I was going with it, Phil, hold on, was the longevity. That's the important part of
Can I
anything.
finish? Can I finish? Okay.
I'm trying to finish. It's the longevity. Is this going to be a problem long term, or is this going to be over in 60 days? If it's over in 60 days, there's no point in building a business model around this. If it's over in 60 days, if this is a long term thing that we're going to panic about for 18 months, build a business model around it and adapt. But in 60 days, the market's not going to adapt to this as well as you can. So it's not going to follow you. But if it's 18 months, the market will adapt to what you're doing and you will grow.
This is what you got to understand. This virus has captured people's imagination. From here on out, for the rest of human existence, there's at least going to be 2 to 5% of our population that lives corona life. So if you can give them an audit trail from beginning to end, that's all they're going to like. There's going to be, this has changed at least 5% of the way people perceive each other from here on out. That's the reverberating.
Is this going to be the new racism?
And I get it. None of us are quite absorbed because this is a fucking asteroid that just hit the entire world and everything we've ever known. It's why I began the podcast with singing REM. It's the end of the world as we know it.
So is this going to be like the new, like, oh, didn't he have coronavirus once? Like, we're going to treat people like shit because they had coronavirus last year.
I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I'll be honest. If I knew somebody had coronavirus, I don't know how I would react. I know I wouldn't if they were in my personal circle. Like, hell, when I found out Tom Hanks had fucking coronavirus, that was blew my fucking mind.
That didn't affect me that much.
Like when, because when I said, like, it was like Slash, he one time said, I'll take this whole AIDS thing seriously when David Lee Roth goes down from it. Like that was his joke back in the 80s.
Wow. That sounds like a joke I would make.
Yeah, and he, in retrospect, he said, "Yep, that one didn't age well." But,
yep, most of my jokes don't.
But and when I said I'll take this coronavirus thing seriously when WrestleMania goes down, it was kind of my own version of that, except for shit, WrestleMania is going down tomorrow. So I think you and I should do a live stream of that, live to be there. You were there, folks.
When they announce it, we'll see. I'll be home.
Remember you.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. So, like, I'm glad we're getting some podcasts in during the week and doing some live streams. I'm really curious what's going to happen. I got notifications on my phone today from IHG, which is the hotel conglomerate. I have hotel reservations this weekend, and I got notifications from them of certain hotels. I'm starting to see that. I don't know if it's hit the news yet, but they're like, "Hey, we're ready to start closing down some hotels in case of outbreaks." And any hotel fees through IHG when it comes to cancellation, we're waiving those. They're lowering their standards on reward nights and points because they know nobody's traveling, and like, so you're seeing it with that industry. I was reading that Nebraska basketball story. The opponent team, after the game, when the coach leaves, the opponent team did not come to the press conference either. They went straight to their hotel room, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what hotel do they go to? I don't want to go there.
Yeah. I mean, like, you do make a good point. People are very contagion conscious. We always have, and we always will be. And yeah, I do think people are going to get treated like shit if they have coronavirus. Like, I remember in the movie Train Spotting, which is a really good movie. Ewan McGregor.
I love that movie. That is a really good movie.
When Tommy got AIDS, when he got HIV, he on somebody, some asshole fucking literally spray painted graffitied on his window on his house, plague. And that's how he was treated, because he got the new virus that scared everybody. I don't think it's going to go quite that far if you have coronavirus, because it's one you can recover from. But I do think, yeah, people are panicky herd animals, and the minute one, like, this is the metaphor that I think zombie movies have always really captured, and why it's lasted so long, because you're part of the herd, you're part of the pack, and then suddenly something about you changes, and now the entire pack is now turned on you, and there's nothing you can do or say that can talk them out of it. That's a very fundamental part of our existence as a species, and that's what zombie movies kind of they speak to. And if somebody gets the coronavirus, they are going to very much see what you're talking about. Yes, suddenly they all turn on you.
Yeah.
You're not part of that herd, they've turned on you. And humans are social animals. That's going to be a fucked up experience for whoever goes through it.
Yeah, it's sure will be. Phil, I think we just hit the 2-hour mark. You wanna start wrapping this bad boy up? It's 12:30. This asshole's got to get up in like 4 hours and drive another 2 hours, half asleep in the morning.
If that's the case, with all these rolls here, I've had them set up, and I've been wanting to do this for 2 hours. That was really, that was fun. That was more fun than that.
That right there is worth it. I kind of just want to buy a bunch of toilet paper to do that.
Yeah, that was oh man, that was awesome. So, as I'm known to say around here, folks, all that being said, thank you all for joining us. Our special guest, Tony, Grow the Farm Up. Thank you for joining us, sir. Brett, thanks for coming on in. All of you watching at home, thanks you much. Shout out to Dad, shout out to Mom. I know you were watching. And shout out to all the other folks out there, and shout out to the KOE Nation. Thank you. Folks, wash them hands. Be safe. Godspeed out there. I am your King of Extreme, Phil KOE, signing off, handing it off, wishing you all well, and be safe out there, folks. Chicken, take it away.
Hey, as always, folks, appreciate you tuning in. Down in the corner, you'll see that little little YouTube channel subscribe button. Click that son of a bitch. That way you get notified anytime we have new videos or go live next time. Feel free to join us anytime. Appreciate the top or the live chats. There was a lot of comments coming through. Sorry if we didn't get to everything that y'all folks sent to us on there. Tried to get to them as fast as we could, but appreciate the dialogue. Appreciate you tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on all the other platforms. Audio only is always available as well. Until next time, love ya. Bye.